We've got some big breaking news to share with you right now revolving around the Alec Murdaugh case. Remember, we told you earlier that today his defense team is holding a press conference at 2:30 requesting a new trial after discovering some new evidence that they say helps prove his innocence. And all morning we've been wondering, what is this new evidence that's remained such a mystery? Well, Court TV just got a hold of the defense filing for this motion for a new trial. If this is true, this would be huge. The defense team is alleging in their motion, and I'm reading directly from it right now, they're alleging that they've discovered that the clerk of court tampered with the jury. The defense team is saying that the clerk advised the jurors not to believe Alec Murdaugh's testimony and other evidence presented by the defense team. They're alleging that the clerk of court pressured the jurors to reach a quick guilty verdict and misrepresented some material information to the judge in what they call her campaign to remove a juror she believed would be favorable to the defense. The Colleton County Clerk of Court is Rebecca Hill. And here the defense team is alleging that she instructs jurors not to be misled by the evidence presented by the Murdaugh defense team and not be fooled by his testimony in his own defense. Now, this defense team is even going so far as to say in this motion to the judge for a new trial that Rebecca Hill did these things to secure a book deal for herself and media appearances that wouldn't have happened in the event of a mistrial. They say she betrayed her oath of office for fame and money. Wow. These are some heavy allegations. And if they are true, this kind of conduct could absolutely result in a new trial for Alec Murdaugh. We don't know if it's true. These are allegations being made by the Murdaugh defense team. And I suspect we're going to hear even more than they've laid out in this motion in the portions I've read to you today at 2:30 when they address the public. But if this is true, if the clerk of court did tamper with that jury, that could very well be grounds for a whole new trial. Let me bring in my guest for some reaction now. He's a practicing criminal defense attorney, also formerly a deputy district attorney in the Los Angeles County DA's office, Mr. Josh Ritter, on the show. Josh, your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, wow is right. You're right. If this is really salacious stuff. So if this is true, I think we should continue to say, I agree with you. I don't see how this could not be huge because, listen, the idea of making an argument of tampering with the jury is not novel, is not remarkable. They're going to say that, oh, the media influenced them, or that they couldn't keep their they couldn't hear about it on the news enough. They weren't able to avoid it in newspapers and on TV. But when you're saying that a clerk had actually told them to disregard evidence or to arrive at a verdict quickly, that it's almost like they're being given this insider information. You could understand how that would influence them. If they believe that they're being told something, hey, you're not going to hear about this in court. I'm going to tell you the inside scoop. Don't listen to his testimony here. This is all a lie. How could that not influence them? Like you said, like I'm saying, if true, this could be huge.
Exactly, Josh. And to just bring it all home, they mention in their allegations that Rebecca Hill, the clerk of court, did this for a book deal to secure that for herself. She did, in fact, write a book. That is fact, that she wrote a book. We don't know her motivations. We have no idea. Again, defense allegations about the why or all of this misconduct. Strictly allegations. We don't know if they are truths. But we even had her on Court TV Live talking about her book. It's called Behind the Doors of Justice. And it came out this summer. She came on with her co-author, talked a lot about being in the courtroom day in and day out. We were asking about how Alec Murdaugh appeared. She's somebody that has a long history with the Murdaugh family. Her grandparents and his grandparents all knew each other, very small town in Colleton County. If this is true, I mean, this could be career-ending stuff for her and potentially other ramifications because she took an oath of office. So not only could Murdaugh get a new trial, but in terms of for her, Josh Ritter, I mean, what could, if this is true, what could she be looking at here, please?
Oh, it's not only career ending. We could be talking criminal charges. I mean,
Bingo.
If she was actually trying to influence the jury, and then if you're saying that was somehow connected to her own financial gain with this book, that's huge. I mean, in fact, in some jurisdictions, it's a capital offense to try to unrighteously, without justification, convict someone for murder where they could suffer capital offense judgment themselves. So this is really serious stuff if this turns out to be true, that she was somehow providing information, misleading information to those jurors. If all of this, again, this is all coming out of a motion, it's coming out of the defense motion, they're going to try to make that sound as convincing as they possibly can. But if all of this somehow bears out in actual evidence, it's a huge problem.
It sure is. And thank you for all of that, Josh. You're right. If they investigate this and if they deem these claims to be true, and if investigators are able to verify what was done and the influence exerted and the potential motive behind it, you're right. She could be looking at criminal charges herself. That would be a totally separate case that could be thrown at her. So this is big stuff. You know, when you take an oath of office to serve the court, you know, I mean, we both, you know, Josh, you and I have both, you know, taken an oath, and we served as prosecutors. When we were sworn in the first time as young lawyers, you know, you take an oath to be an officer of the court. And so here, you know, she had a different kind of oath, but as the clerk of court in Colleton County, this is a big elected position. You're serving the public. I want to just impress upon all of our viewers the magnitude of this position. This is a powerful position. You know, is it not, when the voters will elect her to something where you are serving and helping carry out justice in your county?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know this. We know this from having practiced. The court staff, the clerks, the bailiffs, everybody who's involved and somehow going to have any connection to the jury, any contact with them whatsoever, they go through great pains to make sure that they're not doing anything that may even be perceived as trying to influence them. I know bailiffs who will, you know, have very limited contact with jurors because they don't want even the appearance of impropriety to take place, that they're trying to somehow let the jurors know how they're feeling about the case. So if it turns out that it went way beyond that, but it was actual influence by, like you said, an elected official, somebody whose entire job is maintaining the integrity of the court, huge problem. Huge problem for this case. It could end up in a retrial. Huge problem for her if it all bears out to be true, that she could be looking at criminal charges herself.
Exactly, Josh. This is massive. This is far bigger than anything I think we could have anticipated here. You know, because we're not talking about some brand new discovered evidence that investigators missed. You know, we're not talking about something that, you know, a juror, you know, may have done or had some outside contact, you know, in terms of viewing media. I mean, this is somebody tasked with keeping order in that courtroom, making sure that justice is administered, making sure that every defendant gets a right to a fair trial, no matter what anybody thinks of Alec Murdaugh. He had a right to a fair trial that day. Wow. Josh Ritter, I know we're going to continue this conversation as the days and weeks progress. You also have a podcast. Tell everybody where they can listen to that as well, please.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's The Sidebar, presented by True Crime Daily. They can find it on YouTube or whatever they get their podcasts. I appreciate that.
Of course, Judge. It is a great podcast. You've had me on as a guest. I've loved talking with you, and we'll look forward to more of your analysis soon. Josh Ritter, thank you for everything. I want to turn things over to my friend and colleague, Julia Janae. She is in for Ted Rowlands. Julia, wow, this is...
Julie, so much ahead with that Murdaugh presser. We'll have that in just a couple of hours, and we'll get our viewers caught up on the Kentucky versus Caraway case. Don't go anywhere.